Brad was a friend of mine from the heady days of New York City activism in between 1999 and 2001, and I think really anyone who anyone who was in New York City during that time period, active, knew him well. He had pretty much the whole city was his friend, and anyone who's not from New York City who ever went to a big protest in New York or DC or anywhere probably met him at some point, zipping around on his bike, taking tactical information and helping organizers make strategic decisions. And Brad also, later on in 2001, after September 11th, when a lot of the sort of energy fizzled out of New York, Brad headed south, as did a lot of us, and did some really great work in Brazil with the Landless Peoples Movement. He was in Bolivia when one of the uprisings in El Alto overthrew the government there, one of the peasant uprisings. He'd done work in Ecuador, a lot of work with the Zapatistas in Chiapas, and then when the Zapatistas sort of moved out of Chiapas into the rest of Mexico with the caravan. Somewhere along the line, he got himself a really high-quality, professional-grade HD video camera, which one always suspected was what corporate types would consider ill-begotten and what people in the movement consider gotten the best way possible. And he used that as really just a tool to take his organizing to the next level, filming for indie media. And Brad was the kind of participatory journalist who, would be up on the barricade filming one moment and the next moment turn the camera off to consult with the organizers on questions of strategy, because he'd really been there before and he'd done it all. And he saved my life quite literally once in Canada, and he saved my butt and a number of people's butts a number of times at different protests, just from his sort of ability to see the bigger picture and strategize about what kind of tactics would be effective. Brad also was a songwriter. He wrote songs and parodies to songs, kind of putting an anarchist twist on the songs. And my favorite song that I don't know if he wrote it or just wrote a bunch of extra verses to it or what, but it was called "Girl, You Make Me Want to Smash the State." And it was sort of like an anarchist love song, which I will not sing right now. But what else to say about Brad? I mean, Brad died as he lived. It's been said before, but on the barricades. That's how he lived his entire life, was on the barricades. He walked the walk, from squatting to the community gardens work to tree sitting. Brad was one of the really 3 or 4 individuals who sort of took the knowledge of the Earth First movement out west, brought it back east, and sort of developed tactics that had been in use in the forests for decades, brought them back east and kind of adapted them for the urban setting of New York City. And Reclaim the Streets found New York City. I was involved in Reclaim the Streets New York City, the founding action in 1999. Basically, Brad sort of came up with the whole tripod notion, and the idea of using a tripod in an urban street was considered crazy, but he kind of figured out a way to make it work, and we pulled it off. And Brad was one of the real sort of tactical masterminds behind those 2 years of direct action in New York City, and also the big protests in Seattle, DC against the IMF, Quebec against the Free Trade Area of the Americas. Brad was there in a leadership role and all of that. And I know that he managed to do the work of 10 people, and I know that his example continues to inspire us all.